Okay. This is the Town of Woodbridge monthly Board of Finance meeting for September 20th, 2018. And before we get started, I'd like to welcome our new member, Tom Handler, who has taken over for Susan Jacobs, who was unable to continue her term. And welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And
Sure I will.
we'll
make sure he
We'll make sure you enjoy it. We'll make sure you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy this, something's wrong. So, very enjoyable board. So, public comments. Okay. Tony,
Yes.
all you.
Okay. So in your packet is the final report for our year end, and the actual surplus is more like $3,500. I did a couple of adjustments since I printed this, but so some major highlights of the year. There a tax assessment appeal resulted in a deficit of it was a primary reason of $132,000. Our interest income did well, as we've been reporting all year, and that's a surplus of about $150,000. Intergovernmental revenue deficit of $160 is much less than we'd anticipated at the beginning of the year, when it looked like it would be closer to $300,000 or $400,000. So that was much better than we thought. Department services was a deficit of $100,000, primarily due to lower than anticipated revenue collected in town clerk fees, rec fees, and country club pool fees. And finally, due to the Amity surplus funds ending 2017, as you know, we had received $561,000. I guess we're getting a report on the 18 funds for this evening. Right. So in 17, we put $220,000 in for the next year's budget. So keep that in mind when we discuss it, because that would be that's how much we have in revenue in the current budget. So for next year, if you don't want a deficit to start off the budget process, you'd probably have to put in at least that much. And $50,000 went to the Beecher Special Ed Reserve account. So the remainder of $290 was recognized as unbudgeted revenue, and thus would go into our fund balance. So that offset a lot of the deficits in the other accounts. It's basically that $290 plus the interest income was able to offset the other deficits that we had. And the best way to sort of look at this is a spreadsheet that's attached. It sort of gives you a good idea of sort of how we ended the year. And you can see all those in each category. And so actually our total revenues were slightly ahead by $44,000. And
Can you remind me, Tony, what are the operating transfers in, and why was that less than what we had?
I can tell you what that is, sure. The operating transfers in is primarily transfers from the police private duty account.
Okay.
And that was lower than we had budgeted for.
Okay.
And so that's the major reason for a deficit there. There is a little bit of money. We closed the public works facility account. There was maybe $25,000 in that left.
Okay.
That the project was complete. So I transferred it back into the general fund to go into fund balance, which is usually what we do when we have a project complete. And then transfers out is to the capital non-recurring fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the other item down there is the designation of fund balance. So as you can see, we didn't need any fund balance this year, and so that's primarily a placeholder. It's like a balancer for the budget.
Now, there was some confusion about that a couple of years ago during the election cycle, where we were, I don't want to say accused, but we were, what word would you use? We were spending $400,000 that we didn't have, and we were taking $400,000, and I pointed out that I think in all the years I've been here, except two,
Right.
when there were two crazy situations, we've never used the $400,000.
Right.
And this is another example
That's
of a year where, yes, we put $400,000 into the budget to offset taxes, but we didn't use it.
But we didn't use
We
it
were able to get
because of our
through
fiscally conservative
exactly.
approach.
Exactly.
And the fact that you can see from this accounting
Right.
that all of the various departments, none were negative.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the departments are very conscious of that. As you
Right.
can see, most of them anyway. Let's take a look at recreation. Now they know they had some money left over because some of their programs didn't have as much staff as they necessary, and John was able to realized a lot of efficiencies within his budget. He didn't spend it. He didn't look to spend it.
Right.
And neither did the library, Eric, for instance,
Right.
or the library commission. You know, they're aware of that, and they just don't give it back to the general fund if it's not necessary. So,
And again, to incur a $416,000 surplus on a $46 million budget is really, I mean, nobody's gonna nail a $46 million budget.
right.
Less than 1%,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
if you could do better than that, please be my guest.
Right.
So, okay.
Okay. So in you see our fund balance is 11.65%. So
And this is the highest that it's been, actually.
quite a while.
Quite a number of years.
yes, yes. And actually, GFOA just put out a new sort of one of their guidelines. You don't necessarily have to follow it, but they said 2 months worth of expenditures.
Mm.
So that would be like, for us, it would be like $8 million. So.
Right, so we're well above.
So, you know, you can't say ours is too large. I mean, they're,
No.
but, you know, it sort of depends on your circumstances. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for that, Tony, on the year-end report?
Good work.
Status of the budget audit, Tony?
The year end is complete. I just finished I'll probably finish tomorrow, fixed assets.
Okay.
And then, on Monday, the auditors are out for 2 weeks. And, so we don't anticipate any problems. There's no outstanding issues. One thing we had to, I had to work with them on is how to properly classify the reserve for the special education, which we did.
Ah, okay.
And so we have that in the audit properly. And that's about it. No major issues.
Okay.
So they'll be out for 2 weeks. So we'll go through all of our accounts. They've done a lot of the cash already and the payables and the grants. So they'll just go through a lot of the others. And they'll spend a few days down at the Board of Ed also and go through their all their accounts. Yeah.
All right, proposed budget meeting dates. These are special meetings, Karen, right?
It won't be.
Well, I mean, these are not our regular monthly
Not your regular
meetings.
meetings,
These
correct.
are, do we need anything on this, or just an FYI?
We normally vote on it.
All right. So as you can see, as always, two capital budget presentations on a week apart. Our operating budgets, for sure, the 22nd, the 24th, the 29th, the 31st if needed, and then in the last few years, we haven't really needed to go to that fourth one. And then from there, it's just our budget recommendation meetings, et cetera. So I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed budget meeting dates as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Sandy, you gonna go over the Beecher
I
financial report?
Yep.
Okay, so, anything else, Tony?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, FY20 budget guidelines, you wanna go? any-
So the question here is, as we put together our budget, you know, usually some years we give specific guidelines, some years you don't, some years you'll give guidelines as we go through the process. Something for you just to think about.
Yeah.
Our capital budget goes out shortly. The operating budget doesn't go out until, what, the end of October,
End of
maybe, beginning of November, around there.
November.
So for your October meeting, if there's any,
Yeah, for our capital, we
Guidelines.
want
Yeah,
them to tell
capital's
us
not
what
a
they
big
need,
deal.
right, we
Right,
want them to
yeah.
tell us what they need.
yeah, but for the operating budget, if you have any
Yeah.
specific guidelines, if you wanna,
I think again,
let us know.
they know.
Yeah,
They know.
Just
Well,
gives you an
we can
opportunity
certainly
to-
put that on the agenda, we'll
Well,
discuss it.
yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss it.
Yeah.
And I think also we should entertain whatever recommendations you feel
Sure.
you might wanna
Okay.
get.
Okay.
Again, in terms of program consolidations.
Right.
Maybe where we stand with some of those and encourage a few more of those.
I think it would be helpful to have some of the major departments outline some of their programs and, you know, kind of activity levels and costs and how much are they used, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
We did a little bit of it last year,
Right.
so.
And I speak?
Yeah, sure, we don't need permission.
And, sorry, and the Board of Selectmen has had a couple of discussions about this, and unfortunately, our last meeting, two of the members were not there. One had to leave early and another one was absent, so we didn't continue our budget discussions, but we hope to, and we may, at the October meeting, have something to just talk to the Board of
And there's
Finance
a,
about, but we'll keep you posted.
In October, there's
What we think.
the
Okay.
fiscal report will be final from,
Right, CERC. I'm gonna
CERC.
talk about that in my
Yeah, okay.
report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
Right,
It's okay.
but I think if there are certain places, Tony, where you view there's some potential for efficiencies.
Okay, I can do that.
For us to identify and encourage that as the Board of Finance.
Okay,
We've been doing that this past year and I hope to continue.
On your
and
own.
It's been,
Yes, I
yeah,
know.
well, with
Yep.
Tony's, he
Yep.
sees it, whenever he sees an opportunity, he lets me know, and it's been great. We've done a lot of that this year. Not enough, but we're trying.
yep.
Okay, next is funding requests, and we have one, and it's really a line item transfer, to transfer revenue, grant funds to the budget to do some improvements. I guess we're gonna, wanna have maybe Pua tell us what she's gonna do, or?
Sure,
Yeah,
we're gonna do some sound,
why not?
Hey, Pua, you're here, we're gonna take advantage.
That's right.
She had to do this at the Board of Selectmen as well, so.
Yeah, but we're the ones that are approving the money.
What do you wanna know?
Just, what are we,
Well, the biggest hunk of it is this grant scheme to get all the audio cables, so everything trailing across the threshold of the, fireplace, will go under the floor, we hope.
oh, good.
But the better part would be that, the PA system would never fail. I'll learn how that works. And everything would be integrated, basically.
Okay.
That's still in the works. The only part I really wanted to put closed captioning on our programs on Channel 79. I got one idea from the vendor, and then when he gave me the official quote, it turned out that I had to subscribe for a year to a service, so we weren't gonna use a video on demand service. We already have YouTube. Everybody funds YouTube.
Mhm.
So, I talked it over with the, commission, and I thought maybe we could move some things around, and they looked at it and they said, "What, you're gonna drive yourself crazy trying to make this work, don't do it." So, you can get closed captioning on YouTube anyway, so I think,
Oh.
we're safe there.
I didn't know that.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
but there, a camera could fail, I might need to buy another camera, and, if there's leftover money and say we need more microphones for the new sound system, then we'll have money for the new sound system.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay,
Need a motion for that?
did I make a motion or not?
No, you didn't.
You wanna make it, Tom?
Sure.
Okay, I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. Approval of minutes. Alright, the first set of minutes are, excuse me, are from our regular July meeting. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of Thursday, July 19th as presented.
Second.
Any adjustments, corrections, any suggestions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye? Opposed?
I'm just gonna
Abstain, okay. And next was our special meeting to do the senior cafeteria, et cetera, so I will move acceptance of the minutes of the August 22nd, 2018 special Board of Finance meeting.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections? All those in favor? Aye?
I abstain, I was not there.
Okay. Alrighty. Mrs. Heller.
Mr. Giglietti. Thank you. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our Board of Selectmen meeting this last week. First of all, before I do that, I just wanna remind anyone who's interested, the Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing regarding the adoption of the proposed zoning regulations. It's in the senior cafeteria. I think it starts at 7, so if anybody's interested, we have put everything on the website from my report. So and including the regulations, if you'd like to take a look at those. One thing that was very interesting to me, as well as the selectmen, was Bob Santee and Alyssa DeJong from CERC, the Connecticut Economic Resource Council, that we invited to come in to give us a fiscal health analysis, came back with some interesting data. And that entire portion is up on the website as well, if anyone would like to see it. And I would say that the key findings that we hope to get next month are going to give us some timely insights to help us hold down costs. We wanted it done in time for the upcoming budget season, so hopefully, and at October meeting, which is, I can't remember the date now, maybe the 10th, you guys might want to come or at least watch it on YouTube, because it's
That's
live,
interesting,
right,
yeah.
on YouTube. And it might be interesting for members of the Board of Finance to see that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you do come, let us know so we can put it up that members of the Board of Finance may be in attendance, so we don't get in trouble with Freedom of Information having you guys as a group at a meeting. So if you do want to come, let me know. Otherwise, watch it live on TV. And as I said, the CERC presentation is on the town website. We got an update from Insight Development, and that is also on the website. Any proposal, as you know, is going to have to go out to referendum. So we just asked for a few more specifics, and we're continuing to talk with him, and we hope, just stay tuned at this point. As I said, it was a limited number of Board of Selectmen at the meeting, so I was reluctant to move forward with anything until our next meeting. And let's see, Andy Esposito, who's a member of I created the Beecher Ad Hoc Renovation Committee, which after the pipe burst last winter at Beecher, and then most recently there's been some humidity issues, which I'm sure you've all heard about. We thought that we needed to, he was kind enough to lead his group into looking more critically at this whole issue. And Andy provided us with some details, and Jim Sisa, who's Amity's facilities director, has been acting as a consultant with the Woodbridge Board of Education, came forward with a report that included a recommendation for an engineering firm to go in and do a real study of what's wrong. And the Board of Education is going to cover this expense at this time from their own budget. They originally thought maybe we would fund it, and then we thought it's early in the year, like we do with all departments. Find the money in your budget now. If at the end of the year contingency is needed, we'll deal with it then. But we took care of that. And then last but not least, I attended the Amity Finance Committee and the Amity Board of Education meeting this past Monday. And Derry Gorski of Bethany and Jim Ziola of Orange and I all asked the Amity District to return all the surplus funds from last year to the towns, rather than set aside the 1% of these funds at a special district meeting. And following a lot of discussion, they did vote to not hold a special district meeting, so we expect that all the funds will be returned to the town. And our estimate right now is that Woodbridge will receive $951,326 once the audit is final. That was there at the finance meeting, and I don't know if you have anything to add, but
Just that the Finance Committee, all three town members
right.
wanted it and voted in favor of getting back, and one of the members of the Finance Committee from the Board of Ed. So 4 out of the 6 members asked that they return it. All 3 selectmen were there, asked that we return it. So I don't know what else, I mean, it still was a very close vote, to be honest with you. Too close, but.
It was something over $3 million, correct?
$3,114,711, which I also addressed with them. This is kind of my liaison report anyway. And I said,
Segue.
we shouldn't be having $3 million surpluses. The bulk of it, though, is that health insurance fund, which I've been talking about almost every month when we get together. That's half of it, which they've reduced now. So, but in any event, we're getting it back, and we could. The sad part is the $951,000. If we had that available to us, or some amount less than that, we might have had no tax increase that year. But this is the way it works, and luckily we're good. They don't have to give it back to us at all, as you know. Boards of Education can spend it all, but they're giving it back to us, so that's a good thing. And it was very helpful to have Beth and Jerry and Jim Zioli there to speak. I think without them, it probably wouldn't have passed. It probably wouldn't have passed. So. Okay. That's it. Okay. I'd just like to add
Well
one
done.
thing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
that CERC report, I watched the meeting and I printed off the report. There's a whole lot of good information in there, but the one chart I took off, which I was happy with, we've heard where our mill rate is the highest and the taxes, we don't. Well, as it turns out, I'll read right from the report. Connecticut municipalities experienced a 44% increase in equalized mill rates from 2008 till 2016. Woodbridge started slightly higher than average, but experienced a smaller increase than other towns. Ours went up 40%. So the average in the state was 44%. We were up 40%. So when we hear that, ours is the highest and this, and
It's not as bad.
it's not
And
true.
every town, and every municipality is
Yeah.
experiencing this to some extent.
Yeah, I mean Bethany, I'll just obviously it's
Yeah.
46%. We're 40%. So it's not, people throw these figures out there and they're never backed. But then when you have an outfit like this come through with numbers like that,
We still have work to do.
keep
It's
that in
not
mind.
like
Oh,
it's
absolutely,
rest,
absolutely.
but at least it
Absolutely,
makes
but
us feel as if
we're
we're not.
lower than
Right.
average. So.
Mhm.
Well, I
I
think
agree.
it's an issue for all the municipalities
Right. Yeah.
across the state because of how we govern ourselves from a municipal perspective.
true.
We have too many entities. Therefore, the cost is gonna be higher and it has to be borne by the residents. There's no other way
That's true.
to raise those funds,
Right,
and it's through taxes.
right,
So it's a statewide issue.
it is.
And we have very little non-residential
Yeah.
tax revenue.
Right.
Very little. So, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So, but that's good stuff. You done, Beth?
Oh, I am, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Item 7, assignment of
Thank you, Beth.
liaisons
You're
to
welcome.
Fire Commission and Library Commission. Sandy has informed us that these are the two that
Susan.
Susan was taking care of. Sandy is now able to do library.
Mhm.
So Tom is going to do fire.
I'll do fire.
So you'll let him know, and you'll let Tom know when the meetings are.
I think it's the third, I'm liaison too, I haven't made too
Third
many
Monday,
of
is
them.
it?
Third Monday of the month, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll look it up.
They meet at the
Yeah.
firehouse, by
At
the
the
way.
firehouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
The new one, I assume.
Yes. Okay,
Not so new anymore.
liaison
Boy.
reports, again, other
10
than
years?
this discussion
10
we
years
had
old.
about the surplus, there wasn't a whole lot, I'm just going through, there wasn't a whole lot that went on. From what I could gather, they have picked the new superintendent. Very excited, very happy, but wouldn't tell me who. So whoever it is, they're very happy with who they've got.
That's
So
right. Do
so we'll
they
be
have
hearing.
an estimated start date?
Soon.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get the exact date, but yeah.
So they picked and it's, and.
Well, I don't know that it's official.
Accepted it, or-
I don't know that it's official, Tom. And they're going through they're making sure, they're checking background, this and that, but they're very, I'm hearing like maybe November, something like that.
Wow, that'd be
So,
amazing.
very happy. They're very happy. So,
It's good for
and I know the last time when we picked Chip, I don't know if you remember, the first round was a disaster. They didn't pick anybody.
Right.
Then they had to go back and look for, and that's when they found Chip. But from what I'm understanding, the person is not a superintendent, but is like a maybe an assistant superintendent, which Chip was just a high school principal, if you remember, when we picked him. So they're very, very pleased. So that's good.
That's
Because
great.
last time around they weren't. So
Can I ask you a question about the voting that occurred about returning the money? So was it that the people who voted against returning the money wanted to reserve the 1%?
yes.
So that's why they voted against. It's not like they didn't want the money to come back to
No,
the
no.
town.
The vote was strictly the vote was strictly how much. It was either all of it or
I see.
I've got it here. It was either to return $2,630,320 and keep $484,391, or return $3,114,711. So
I see.
Versus.
they already have over $400,000 in their capital reserve fund.
Oh,
They would have added this to it, so they would have had over close to $900,000.
to use.
And everybody says, what are you going to do? And they couldn't reserve the 484 and say what they were going to do with it. They could just
By bond council is allowed, doesn't
Right.
it? That's what.
don't allow it. So they
Terry
get the
Lewis
money.
said.
And there's a lot of
I
people
see.
screaming. Somebody said the athletic director was going around saying that we'll be getting our new field soon, which is a very touchy issue. the artificial turf
Oh,
field,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know, without that, I think that was a cincher that,
I
I
see.
mean, you're gonna have 484,000, we can't tell you what we're gonna do with it, but there's a lot of projects. So I said, look, you know, let's do it the traditional way, make up a list, go out for a bond issue, and we'll do it that way. It passed the last time, if you put out stuff that people think you need and know you need, they'll vote for it. Like somebody said, you know, I think, was it you? We've always supported Amity.
I said that.
You know, we've
And I
always.
said I will continue to
Right,
support them. It
right.
wasn't as if I was saying no
Right,
to Amity, it's
right.
just that I thought it's important that the voters have a decision,
Sure.
make the decision
Sure.
and have a choice.
Sure.
And also, there was some discussion about security, which is, you know, a hot button item.
Mhm.
And they haven't decided exactly what they're gonna do yet, so that was my concern, was come up with the numbers. And I guess even later on in the meeting, there was a security, an executive session related to security, but I'm not sure if anything came out of that publicly, but we haven't heard anything. I said, once you have something, we're more than willing to help you with, you know, get it passed. It's just don't keep the money just in
Right.
case, and because it can't be
So-
designated for something specific. That was a problem that I had.
So this is $950,000 that we were not anticipating
Yep.
and getting.
That's correct.
So what are the thoughts about?
I haven't gotten any thoughts yet. I
Okay.
obviously wanna
Okay.
wait and see till the
Yeah.
audit is complete
Right.
and it's returned. I'm
Okay.
just,
Usually, but like usually the first couple weeks of January,
Okay,
yeah.
then it's returned.
okay, got it.
So I also said to them, you know, I
Okay.
don't,
Yeah, I'm not
I don't
saying a
believe,
word.
I don't believe $3,100,000 is an acceptable surplus.
No.
You can't have this. You know, I fought with some other people when they used to have $600,000 surpluses, and I said, you know, again, like I just said before about our budget, a $600,000 surplus on a $49 million budget I can live with. $3 million, knowing that it's this medical reserve fund they have, which they've way overfunded because of this one particular member. So, and so we got our August 31st report for the current year, and there's a $600,000 surplus. So I said, look, we need to really, because Jim Zioli made it very clear, because the fellow that I banged heads with, you know, was one of his things was that too much surplus, and I just didn't agree with him, because we knew month to month what the surplus was. It was transparent, it was well explained, it's because of this, teacher contracts, medical insurance savings, whatever. We always knew where it was. About $3 million was just, you know, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's nice to get the money back, but I would have rather not tax the people. That's basically what happened, so. And other than that, I don't think there was anything else, that happened at Amity. So, but the good news is that things are, in the absence of a superintendent, our interim superintendent, Jim Connolly, is doing a good job, and we should have a new guy on board soon, so things are good over there. So, Tom, you have anything?
Yes, so, Human Services, the construction company, I think it was Olympus Construction, was over there today at the center, and they were looking at the ramp area. I think that's probably gonna begin next week,
Oh, great,
construction of the ramp.
wow.
And then hopefully the bathroom will be fast follow.
Yep. I think they'll do it at the same
Pardon me?
time. Roughly at the same, parallel tracks.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, or maybe starting shortly after they start the ramp. Okay. And so there's gonna be some disruption while they're doing work on the ramp and then in that area in the bathroom. So some of the services are being moved over to First Church, and they've already arranged that, and I don't know what they're gonna do with the other services, but they'll probably put them over in other places within the center, so. And they've got they're starting their capital outlay planning, and they've set up a subcommittee to talk, and they're gonna be meeting, I think they're meeting tomorrow. And just one of the bigger items they have is they're looking to replace a vehicle, one of the buses they have. And they're looking at a 5310 grant. And Mary Ellen said after, I think, 5 years, the town owns the vehicle,
Right.
goes through that way.
Mhm.
So they're looking to get that, and sometime in December or January, the grant applications are gonna be available. So as soon as they I guess open them up for application, they'll be out there making sure that they can get that. And they have the cafe, as, I don't know if everyone knows about the cafe, but they have a cafe now. And from what I hear, talking to people in town hall, great food. I was only over there once, and it was kind of hard to tell kind of where they were. There's really nothing down there. They have some tables set up over there, but it's in the kitchen. And I talked to Mary Ellen about that. They're thinking about trying to do something different, maybe to advertise a little bit better with a sign. Or I think they have like
They did put a
some
sandwich
type of
board
a
out.
sign out, right? But it's in front of the doors to the gymnasium and to the senior center, and you have to be going down there to see it. And people coming into the library don't really notice it, so they're thinking maybe something on the road that, because people drive by and you got the sign there where they've got everything. So they're thinking maybe doing something like that just to try and get the word out and get people to come in. They're not really going to do any work as far as, they were thinking about doing some type of a canopy or something down there where it kind of looks like a little bit of a cafe, but while they're doing the construction, it doesn't make any sense to really put any time into that because it's going to be kind of getting in the way. So once that gets done, they'll work on that. And let's see, they're having a lecture series that's starting soon, and the lectures will be in the center lounge. And there's a whole list of lectures that they'll be having. I mean, they're having stress management, brain health, estate planning and asset planning, adding years to your life, life to your years, diabetes awareness, if you have diabetes, how to control it, how to live with it, and then how to prevent it if you don't have it, and tips for how to cook for one or for two, how to properly freeze food. I don't know if there's a special way to freeze food, they're just throwing it in the freezer. So there's that. And then they have the Living Treasure Award event is on October 3rd. And that's the first time they've done that. I think they have 3 recipients. So it's a dinner, 4 now?
4.
So there's a dinner and a silent auction. And tickets are still available, so if people would like to go, they should call and order tickets through Human Services. And it should be a great event.
3893 for the viewing public. 389-3430
Okay,
is the senior
take your word
center.
for it.
Yeah, I think.
It's in my contacts somewhere. It's going to be a great event. I mean, it's the first time they've done something like that, and
I think there are
recognizing
almost
4 people from
250
town who
people as
have
of today.
contributed to the town.
Wow.
And it's going to be a fundraising event for them as well. And they'd like to take some of the money that they raise through fundraising events and help offset some of the expenses that we've had to pay for different work that we've done, like the transfer of money we had to do because the bathroom costs came in higher than were anticipated, and they're hoping to pay some of that into that so that they can help defray some of the costs. So that's it. They're meeting in October, I think, October 1st, where they're going to start their planning for next year. So I'll be at that meeting, hopefully. And that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. Andy?
Recreation met on August 27th. They talked a bit about the approval for the dog park and how that relates to the skating rink. Talked a lot about the potential, as we kind of fit the different pieces of the puzzle together, the potential of moving the skating rink to Pease Place, which John liked that idea a lot, because if you make it out of concrete, you could use it as a skating rink in the winter, and then in the other 3 seasons it could be additional parking, which would be very helpful over there. So that's an idea that's appealing to them. They had the final numbers, or at least final as of late August, for the pool. There were 87 members that joined this year versus 126 the year before that versus 154 the year before that. It sounded like there was a little bit more of daily fees, people not joining for the full seasonal membership, but obviously declining membership. What else? The road race is coming up on October 6th. New England Brewing will be a sponsor. No samples, but happy to have their sponsorship.
Especially at the kid run, right?
Yes. Could make it more interesting.
Oh,
There was
dear.
a precedent with the New Haven Road Race.
They talked about that.
Really?
Yeah, New Haven Road Race, they have microbrews that are set up on the
There's a lot of
green, and
craft
after the
brew-
race,
yeah.
you have to obviously have to prove your age, but
Yep.
free beer.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Yep, that's it.
okay.
All right, I attended the Board of Finance for Beecher on this past Monday. And they are projecting, and again, it's very early in the year, a deficit of $134,000. 110 of that comes from special education. That includes the 50,000 that we reduced their budget by, and then an additional student that was not in the budget from last year.
Could I ask a clarification, Mike?
Yes.
So, are you saying that the actual deficit is 184?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. The 110 for special education
Yeah.
includes the 50,000. That's where they put it, where we reduced their budget for last year.
Oh, I gotcha. Right.
Okay,
Got it.
so
Yep,
it's
yep, yep,
already
yep, yep.
included
Got
in
it.
there.
Okay.
And then they had, they have a workers' comp case that isn't settled yet, so that is a liability on their books, in addition to some insurance adjustments that are there. So again, they will monitor this very closely. Beth gave a nice summary of where they are with the facilities work. Jim Sisa is giving his final report next Monday. I will go to that meeting. I really want to hear what he has to say in terms of the scope. I think that the Van Zelm report will also be important, and suggested to them that before they turn in their capital budget, even if they don't have a firm number, that if there's some money that's going to be required, that they actually put a placeholder in there. And I think that with the entities that are involved, kind of Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, the ad hoc committee,
Wandering through the hallway. I
Okay.
just wanna-
that we kind of have some, clarification amongst the groups in terms of who's responsible for what. So I just recommend that go forward.
That's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we were sold on a project, a $13 million project that was gonna have us set for 20 to 25 years, and not 3 years into this, we're having all these problems. As I said the last time.
Correct, and it's probably a combination of a number of different factors, and
Yep.
so I think that the
Yep.
entities that are involved need to kind of come together and evaluate what the recommendations are and the
Yep.
responsibilities. So I think that's
Having Jim
important.
Slices, he's a sharp guy.
He is,
Very
he
sharp.
is, and so I'm really looking forward to hear what he has to say, and then there may be some more in-depth recommendations from Van Zelm, but that will be, probably another month or two before that comes forward.
Yep.
Yeah,
So.
thank you.
Okay, and then I also wanted to report, I'm on the Ad hoc Community Council that Beth had actually put together. And our task is to come up with a series of events that will create more of a sense of community within the town. So we've actually come up with a number of ideas so that once a quarter, we will have activities, either for a week, couple weeks. In the case of Fallapalooza, it's for the whole month of October. And really have a wide range of activities that different residents, children and their families, older adults can participate in. So the Fallapalooza calendar just came out, and there is actually, all of the activities are on a website. It starts off with the road race, and Charlotte's Web performance is going to be done 2 times during that same weekend at Massaro Farm. New England Brewery is having events. There's Pampered in Pink at the Amity Center, and a number of others. There's also the Artists Festival at the church here on the Green. So I encourage all of you to really look at the host of events. I'm sure you'll find something there that you'll want to attend over the month of October.
I saw a little card over there. Is that on
Yeah.
Jerry's desk?
Yeah.
It's got them all summarized on a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, and there
Little
will
card,
be
yeah.
flyers
There
that
were
get
big ones,
that get distributed.
There's little guys that are sitting in a pile
Right,
on Jerry's
but
desk.
even the flyer doesn't list all the events, so you really have to go on the website to find the times and locations. So we have other things planned for kind of January, February, then in April, summer is the concert, so.
So we're keeping you busy in your retirement. huh?
Absolutely, yes, it's fun.
I know, I heard that you retired, I said, okay, come on.
No, it's great, it's really a great group,
Thank
a
you.
lot of really
Thank you.
good ideas.
Anything else?
Just wondering, is the library doing that mini golf event again this year?
Yes.
That was a
Are
ton.
they
So
gonna
it's-
do it again this
It's
year?
in my newsletter,
Yeah.
but I
That's
saw it in
great.
the newsletter, I think it's next,
I think it's every other year they said they were gonna do it, but
I swear
maybe
I saw
not.
something
I
about
thought I
next
saw
year.
something.
In
for this year.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they would do it, I think it would be great.
Springish, like Marches or something, March.
Well, that may be true because it wasn't in 2018. It was in 17, right? It was in the fall.
It was in 18.
Was it? And
It was-
I
I
don't
don't
remember. I'll find out when I rejoin the library commission and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was really great. That was
It
so
was.
much fun. I'll find out.
I
and
almost
let you
killed
know.
David Lober with a golf ball, but that's another story.
Yeah.
By mistake.
Is there anything else?
Mhm.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Okay.
We'll see you on October